Welcome back to the deep dive. So today we are going to challenge a pretty fundamental assumption about how the digital world works.
Hmm.
Usually when I say the words digital powerhouse or, tech ecosystem, where does your brain immediately go? Silicon Valley. Maybe Shenzhen.
Naturally. Yeah, that's the standard geography of tech.
Yeah.
We look for the skyscrapers, the venture capital firms, the trillion-dollar valuations.
Yeah.
We look west, or we look at the massive hubs in Asia.
Right. But today, we are spinning the globe and dropping a pin in Kigali, Rwanda. We have a stack of sources here that is going to force you to rethink what a tech giant actually looks like in 2026.
Yeah.
We're looking at a single entity called Alreflections. Now, I'll be honest with you, when I first looked at the homepage in our source stack, I thought, okay, cool. It's a marketing agency.
Which is a reasonable first assumption. I mean, if you just glance at the surface, the graphic design offers, the branding talk it does, it looks like a standard agency.
Yeah.
But once you start digging into the privacy policies, the service logs, the tool descriptions, and blog archives we have here, that agency label, it falls apart pretty quickly.
It doesn't just fall apart, it completely crumbles. We aren't looking at a company that just makes logos. We're looking at a beast that is simultaneously a high-end software house, a massive media network, a university, and I still can't quite wrap my head around this, a search engine provider.
In this vertical integration strategy, that is. Well, it's incredibly rare to see at this scale, especially outside of the massive U.S. conglomerates.
The vibe I get from reading their about page and their origin story isn't just business, it's empire building. It feels like they decided we aren't just going to use the internet, we are going to build our own private version of it.
Yeah.
They aren't renting land, they're terraforming a planet.
That's the key insight here. And just to orient you, today is Saturday, January 24th, 2026.
Yeah.
We are looking at material that is literally hot off the press. Some of the blog posts in our source stack are dated from this very week. This is in history. This is an active, evolving story happening right now.
So let's peel this onion, because like we said, it starts out looking like a standard agency. Where did this actually begin?
If you look at the early documents in the stack, the roots are clearly in branding and marketing.
Mm-hmm.
They were solving the problem of, how do I look good for clients?
Okay.
But there's a transcript in our stack from a YouTube video by a channel called Trigger Pull. Great name, by the way.
Yeah.
And the video is titled, Endgame Nah, Alreflections Steps into Heavy Tech. That video, it really identifies the pivot point.
The shift to heavy tech.
Exactly. They hit a wall that every agency in an emerging market hits eventually. You can design a beautiful brand for a client. You could make the logo pop. But if that client doesn't have the digital infrastructure to actually run the business,
The brand is useless.
it's useless.
So instead of just making the logo, they decided they had to build the pipes.
The plumbing, yes. And we need to be specific about what that means, because tech services is a buzzword that usually just means, we install WordPress themes.
I'm looking at the service list here, and it is definitely not just WordPress. They list custom e-commerce, which is, okay, that's standard. But then you keep reading and you see patient portals for hospitals, e-learning platforms for schools, music streaming websites, job portals.
Think about the technical lift there. A patient portal requires high PA-level compliance, complex database management, high security. A music streaming site requires massive bandwidth management and latency optimization.
Right.
These aren't marketing tasks. These are engineering tasks.
So they're digitizing entire industries.
You're building the operational layer of the economy. If you are a hospital in Kigali, Alreflections isn't just giving you a brochure site. They are effectively becoming your IT department. They are building the software that manages your patients.
That makes them incredibly sticky.
Very sticky. You can fire your ad agency. You can't fire the company that holds your patient records.
That is a crucial distinction. It's the difference between a vendor and a partner. But what really shocked me, and what I think makes this deep dive so fascinating, isn't just the work they do for clients, it's the tools they've built for themselves.
The proprietary tool stack. This is where the digital powerhouse claim actually gets some teeth.
Let's start with the one that made me double-check my notes to make sure I wasn't misreading it. Atinas.
The search engine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who built a search engine in 2026?
Yeah.
I mean, we have Google, we have Bing, we have all the AI bots now. Why in the world would a Rwandan agency build Atinas?
It's a bold move, but if you look at it through the lens of, say, data sovereignty, it makes a kind of sense. The source material describes Atinas as being designed to avoid spam, and improve accuracy.
Right.
Now, practically speaking, building a global index to rival Google it's impossible for a company this size. But building a specialized index, that's smart.
So you think it's about local search?
I do. Global algorithms are terrible at surfacing local, hyper-specific content in emerging markets. If you search for a specific hardware store in a neighborhood in Kigali on a global platform, you might get a generic Wikipedia entry or a map pin that's 3 years old.
Right.
Athena seems designed to surface the actual local web.
And notice the Atina's search planner tool mentioned in the docs. It says it helps creators get their links visible.
Which is a direct admission that the global SEO game is rigged against the little guy. They're basically saying the big guys won't index you because you aren't paying millions in ads. Come to our pond and we'll actually let you be seen.
It's like they're saying, if the global map doesn't show our streets, we'll just draw our own map.
Precisely. It's about independence. And once you control the map, you control the commerce. Which brings us to the next massive tool in the stack, Sowasoko.
This is their marketplace platform. The tagline is your storefront to the digital world. But I have to talk about the pricing because I honestly thought it was a typo in the source test.
It is incredibly aggressive.
The starter plan is free. Okay. The experimental plan is 5,200 Rwandan francs for 3 months. I did the conversion. That is roughly $3.60 USD.
For a quarter of the year.
That's $1.20 a month. I mean, that is less than a bad cup of coffee.
And that pricing strategy tells you everything you need to know about their target demographic. They aren't trying to land the whales. They aren't looking for multinational corporations.
No.
They're trying to digitize the street stall economy.
It's the long tail.
It's the massive tail.
Yeah.
If you charge $30 a month, which is, standard for something like Shopify, nobody in that microeconomy signs up. It's too much risk. But if you charge $1.20,
you lower the barrier to entry so drastically that you flood the platform with users.
Exactly. They're playing a volume game.
Yeah.
They're trying to become the default operating system for Rwandan commerce.
And once you're on the platform, it's not just a shop. They have this tool called Couponeer,
The affiliate management system.
So for listeners who might not be deep in e-commerce jargon, let's just unpack why this specific tool matters. What exactly is an affiliate system doing in this mix?
Okay, so imagine you have a shop on Sowasoko. You have your products, but you aren't a marketer. You want people to sell your products for you.
Right.
An affiliate system lets you give a unique link to a promoter. If someone buys through that link, the promoter gets a commission. Couponeer just automates all that tracking and payment.
And the sources say you can even buy the source code for Couponeer to run your own system.
Right. And this creates a whole microeconomy. You have the sellers on Sowasoko, and then you have a layer of promoters using Couponeer to make money by selling other people's stuff. It's a closed loop. Alreflections builds the market, they build the tools to sell, and they build the tools to promote.
They really have thought of every angle. I'm looking at the list of other tools here. PromoPot for visibility. Inventory Hubris, which I have to say is a fantastic name for stock management software.
It sounds like a Greek tragedy, doesn't it? The hubris of inventory.
It does.
But, stock management is the tragedy of retail if you get it wrong.
It really is. And then there's Little Shark.
That one stood out to me immediately. It's described as AI-assisted coding software to help developers double their speed.
So they aren't just building tools for the shopkeepers, they're building tools for the coders who build the shops.
And that's the why behind this entire ecosystem.
Yeah.
If Alreflections was just a marketing agency, they'd be dependent on Google for search, Amazon for sales, GitHub or OpenAI for dev tools. By building Athena's, Sowasoko, and Little Shark, they're insulating themselves. They're removing external dependencies.
It's almost like they are terraforming their own planet so they don't have to live on anyone else's.
Right.
But here is the catch, and the sources are very clear on this. You can build the most advanced Little Shark AI tool in the world, but if nobody in your market knows how to code, it just sits on the shelf.
That is the classic emerging market bottleneck. Capital isn't the problem. Skills are. You can't sell complex tech if the literacy isn't there. You can't sell a Ferrari in a place where no one knows how to drive.
Enter Skillbase.
Their education arm.
This is their e-learning platform. We see courses for HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Python, digital marketing, and again, the price point.
Emphasized heavily as free.
Empowering digital pioneers.
It's brilliant, and not just in a charitable way. It's strategic customer acquisition. Think about it. If I teach you Python for free, on my platform using my tools, and I teach you how to build e-commerce sites.
Whose infrastructure are you going to use when you launch your business?
You're going to use the one you learned on. It's the Adobe model or the Microsoft model, but applied to an entire country's infrastructure.
A student learning on Skill-Based today is the entrepreneur hiring Alreflections for a custom app tomorrow.
They're manufacturing their own future clients.
They also have the Alreflections Startup Support Program. I saw a flyer for this in the source documents. It offers free consultation sessions. They even break it down by category: blogging, local business, coding companies.
It's capacity building. They aren't waiting for the market to mature. They are actively watering the soil to make it grow faster. They are creating the demand for their own supply.
Okay, so we have the tech, we have the education, but there is one more piece of the puzzle that addresses the hardest part of the internet: getting people to actually look at what you've built. The sources refer to something called the Rwanda information giant.
This is the network effect in action. The sources mentioned a network of, 52 connected websites?
And a tool called iBlink Social Media. The promise here is get massive exposure. It says if you post an article once, it distributes to over 200 partner websites.
So we should look at this critically. In the West, or in a highly saturated market, we might call this a link farm or maybe a blog network, and Google usually hates these.
Sure.
But in a developing digital economy where discovery is broken, this is a lifeline.
It's a megaphone.
It's artificial distribution. If you are a small business in Kigali, you can't outrank global giants on Google. It's just not going to happen. But if you plug into the Alreflections network, this Rwanda information giant, suddenly you have traffic. You borrow their audience.
You leverage their 52 websites to get eyes on your one website.
And they have Young Pioneer magazine to highlight unspoken heroes. It feels like they're building a community that you never have to leave. You learn on Skill-Based, you sell on Sowasoko, you promote on iBlink, and you get famous in Young Pioneer.
It's a sticky web.
A very sticky web. And sitting at the center of this web, pulling the strings, is the founder, Mihigo E.R. Anaja.
We have to talk about this guy. His bio is colorful.
To say the least.
He calls himself the author of Time and Legacy and programmer without stress.
I wish I was a programmer without stress. That sounds nice.
The sources say he's written 9 books and over 200 computer programs. That output is instant. It's prolific. But reading his blog post, the Alreflections Daily from January 2026, it doesn't feel like a CEO speaking. It feels more like a life coach.
It's philosophy. I looked at those dates. January 23rd, visibility follows value. January 24th, today, your business reflects your habits.
Data beats opinion. Momentum is fragile.
He's preaching a very specific kind of entrepreneurial gospel. It's about discipline and ownership. But from a business strategy perspective, this personal branding is crucial.
How so?
Trust. If you are asking a client to hand over their entire digital infrastructure, their patient portal, their sales funnel, their livelihood, they need to believe you are a visionary. They need to believe you know the way. By publishing books and daily philosophy, he positions Alreflections not just as a vendor, but as a mentor.
It creates a following. The sources mention groups like Developers with Attitude and Young Entrepreneur Network.
Developers with Attitude. I mean, that frames coding as a counterculture movement. It makes it cool. It rallies the youth around the brand. It turns tech support into a movement.
Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to one technical detail that I think seals the deal on their ambition. We talked about the heavy tech pivot. Sometimes agencies say they do tech, but they are just gluing APIs together.
Correct. Usually they're just connecting Stripe to Shopify.
But the source tags mention proprietary programming languages, NUTS and Keybol.
Now that is a very bold claim.
What does it actually mean to build your own programming language?
It's the deep end of computer science. Most companies use Python, Java, C++, Keybol. To build your own language like NUTS or Keybol means you're writing the syntax, a compiler, the logic that tells the processor what to do. You don't do that unless you have very specific needs that existing languages can't meet. Or you're trying to create a standard that you own completely. It's the ultimate walled garden. If developers learn your language, they can only build on your platform. It locks them into your ecosystem in a way that nothing else can.
And they have tools like FormWorker for handling forms on static GitHub projects and API Console to centralize APIs.
Those are developer experience tools. FormWorker solves a specific headache for coders using static sites, which are fast, but can't handle databases easily. The fact that they built a tool to fix that specific annoyance proves they have a serious engineering culture.
They're solving their own problems.
Exactly. They aren't just buying software, they are writing it.
So let's pull the camera back. We have a marketing agency, plus a software house, plus a university, plus a media network, all rolled into one entity in Rwanda.
It's a conglomerate in miniature, a digital city-state.
So what does this tell us about the future of the internet? We're so used to the narrative that innovation flows from Silicon Valley out to the rest of the world.
That's the old colonial model of technology. Alreflections proves that the new model is indigenous ecosystem building. They aren't waiting for Google to come and map the streets. They're building a Tinus. They aren't waiting for Amazon. They're building Sawasoko.
It's a strategy of necessity. You can't just be the Uber of Rwanda if there are no maps and no digital payments. You have to build the maps and the payments too.
Exactly. And frankly, it results in a more resilient business. If Google changes its algorithm tomorrow, a standard SEO agency dies. Alreflections doesn't care because they own the search engine, the network, and the audience.
It's incredibly inspiring. Reading through the daily business advice posts, you can feel the hustle. It's not a passive corporation, it's a living organism.
It brings up a provocative question for everyone listening, regardless of where they are.
What's that?
We see Alreflections building the search engine, the marketplace, the social network, and the coding school all at once. In a world where the internet is increasingly fragmented and we are all worried about our data, is the future of digital business not in using the big global platforms?
Quit in building your own.
Exactly. Is the real power move to stop renting land from big tech and start building your own interconnected universe, just like this?
That is a fascinating thought. Maybe we should all be looking at building our own information giants.
It certainly makes you rethink your dependency on the big five.
Absolutely. Well, from Kigali to the world, Alreflections is definitely a name to keep on your radar.
Without a doubt.
Thanks for diving in with us today. Check your own digital plumbing, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.
Goodbye, everyone.